very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
Waking humanity, one soul at a time. This is The World You Don't Know radio show with your host, Nick O'Connell.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome along to this week's edition of The World You Don't Know with myself, Mick O'Connell. And I have a couple of guests coming on. I've got Alan and Steve from Open Your Mind Radio coming on now in a couple of minutes. And we're just going to be shooting the breeze about what's going on around the world and what's going on, indeed, at home here in Ireland. So I'm going to dial Skype now and hopefully get them in. Both of them, I think Alan, he'll get Steve in on his end and then he'll just patch it through to me. So hopefully we'll have them on now in the next minute or so. So we're just going to be shooting the breeze, as I said, about stuff that's going on around the world, stuff that's going on at home. Yeah, they're both there now. They're both on. They've both answered the phone, so that's grand. So we had to go straight to Alan and James. So that's what I'm going to do rather than me waffling on. I'll let them do a bit of waffling for a change. Now, good evening, lads.
Good evening, Mick. How are you doing?
Not bad.
Good evening,
yourself?
Mick.
Good evening, Stephen. How are you?
Yeah, all good this cold winter's eve.
It is a cold winter, all right, isn't it? It's getting very cold now, the weather. But it's nice and warm here in this studio. It's actually like a bloody oven in here. You could fry an egg on this desk. Anyway, welcome back onto the show, lads. It's great to have you back on. It's been a while since we shot the breeze, and as I said, I don't have anything particular to talk about tonight, but we can shoot the breeze on what's going on within the mainstream media over the last couple of weeks. And I suppose the biggest story that I've seen over the last couple of weeks, lads, is Donald Trump and his antics out in the Middle East, recognising Jerusalem as the new capital of Israel.
Yeah, what's he playing at? Seriously, you have to wonder, what is he playing at? Is he deliberately trying to upset all these people?
The song "Like a Puppet on a String" came to mind there. You know.
Yeah, that's exactly what he is a puppet on a string. I mean, he came across when he was getting elected as the great white hope of America, but he's turned out to be nothing more, I suppose, than a puppet for the Zionist movement. You know, and I don't want, just before you continue, I don't want anybody thinking that because we attack Zionism on our shows, you know, even Stephen Allen, I'd have a thing or two to say about Zionism, that doesn't make us anti-Jewish or anti-Semite at all. It's got nothing to do with that. As I've said before, Zionism is a political ideology. It's not a religion, and it's not a race.
That's it. And look, if you're an arsehole, you're an arsehole. Let's be blunt about it. I don't care what your religion is and where you're from or what colour your skin is. If you're an arsehole, you're an arsehole, right? That's basically what it boils down to. So the whole idea of Trump, he's done a few things. We know he's done a few positive things. Why he's gone and done what he done now with in Israel is, I mean, I've watched a little bit of what was going on and the riots that it's caused and the upset that it's caused. But we all know, I mean, isn't his daughter's husband, isn't he a Zionist? Yeah, she's married to a Zionist.
Jared Kushner, I think his name is. I mean, he is Jewish, and he is a Zionist. He's a self-professed Zionist as well. I've seen him in a few videos where he's been asked, is he a Zionist? He doesn't deny it.
Yeah. So there's obviously something going on there, but at the end of the day, let's see what happens. We had Thomas on the show on Sunday, and he reckons that if Trump is still alive by the end of 2018, he's lucky. He's going to be lucky. And Netanyahu, he's going to well, I think that's his name. That's what we call him anyway.
Benjamin. I call him Benjamin Netanyahu.
He mightn't be around either.
Yeah, I mean, Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, he's never been one for trying to, organise a peace process out in the Middle East. As far as he's concerned, it's wiped him out and be done with them.
Yeah, well, it's all gone off, and I sometimes you scratch your head. You do. Myself and Steve talk about this off air as well, and we kind of look at what's going on in the world, and we try to look for the positives, as much as we can. And there's a lot of information out there. People are saying, these people are being arrested, and there's indictments for these people and this, but we can't prove any of it. It's just people posting stuff up from other websites, and we don't know whether it's true. We don't know whether it's controlled opposition putting it up there, or paid shills and trolls. So we can't confirm it.
Yeah, I watched the video the other night. Now Ben Gilroy, I think, posted it. Benjamin Fulford. And I didn't think that Ben Gilroy would be interested in posting stuff from the likes of Benjamin Fulford, but he did. And I had a listen, and it's this usual weekly blog that he puts out. I think they're only about 10-minute long, these little videos. But his video, he's claiming that from all his sources here, there and everywhere, that there's a load of arrests going on. Now, you're not seeing it in the mainstream media because the media's, controlled by massive corporations and they're not letting the information out. But what he was saying was that there's an awful lot of top politicians, bankers, movers and shakers basically around the world from what he calls the Khazarian cabal or Khazarian mafia, i.e. Zionists basically is what he's talking about, but he says they're all getting taken down one by one. And as you just said there yourself, we're not seeing any of this on the mainstream media, so you take what he says with a pinch of salt.
Exactly, and with everything you take with a pinch of salt, and literally everything. I mean, myself and Steve have said it on the show, even with chemtrails, when we stop seeing chemtrails in the sky, then we'll know something's being done, but we're still seeing them. So again, that goes for people who are in the public arena. When they start disappearing and people are asking where are they gone, where have they disappeared to, then we'll kind of say, okay, there's something going on. But there's so much false and fake information out there on the internet. It's very hard to kind of find the truth. As John Irwin says, when you bury the truth in a barrel full of lies, it's very hard to find. It's very hard to find
it, yeah. I mean, what do you think of the stories that have been popping up in the Irish media over the last week or so in relation to what they're calling fake news? They're trying to make it now a criminal offence to be spreading so-called fake news.
Well, that's it. I mean, Steve, do you want to take that? You read out the article last night on the show.
I did actually read out the article. Yeah, look, as we said last night, Mick, who says what is fake news and what is real news? I mean, we had it there last night. We talked about, I think the chap's name is, he's a Fianna Fáil TD, James Lawless. And basically what it said was he wants to put people in prison for 5 years if they spread fake news. But who decides what fake news is? I mean, are the politicians, are they going to decide what fake news is? Because if it's left up to them, we're all done for. Because, as we all know, there is news that goes around and people hear it and they tell other people. And, okay, it may not make a lot of sense at the moment. Like, as an example, David Icke. Some people like him, some people hate him. But love him or hate him, he's been putting out stuff for years. And a lot of people could say what he's been putting out is fake news. But when you actually go and go back in time 20 years and see what David Icke was putting out, and then fast forward 20 years, and you're kind of, he doesn't look so loopy now, does he? Because a lot of what he says has come to fruition. So I mean, if it's the politicians, if they're the ones who's going to decide what fake news is, well then, we're kind of barking up what's the saying? It's an uphill struggle, I suppose.
I remember watching that interview with David Icke, and I'm going back. It has to be 30 years ago now at least. It was 89, 1990, and he was on Terry Wogan. Yeah, it was Terry Wogan. And they absolutely ridiculed him. It was at the time when he was going around in turquoise tracksuits and he was getting nothing but ridicule in the media. Saying that he was going around saying the royal family were lizards and stuff like that. And, I laughed at him. Everybody laughed at him. But I've since read a few of his books. And a lot of what he said on that show, when he was asked the question, what's the world going to be like in 10, 15, 20 years' time? And a lot of what he said about the New World Order police state coming into being, it's happened.
Yeah.
Every other week, there's a YouTube video going up of an innocent black person in America getting shot by trigger-happy cops.
Yeah, and he's also said about the whole idea of digital currency. I mean, there's only 3% of physical money in circulation in America, probably globally. And he mentioned about the digital currency, and if he wanted to get away from the physical currency and just use digital money because they can screw the system even more. And what's happening now? We have Bitcoin, we have the cryptocurrencies. They're trying to, I mean, even I went to the bank today, Bank of Ireland today, and I wanted to go up to the teller and get her to do something for me. And the teller window was closed. And there was one woman standing there saying, can I help you? And I said, well, I want to, process this transaction. And she said, oh, you have to go to a machine. And I said, I don't like using the machines. And she goes, well, the teller's only there from 10 o'clock to 12:30. So even the banks are shutting everything down.
Yeah, my local bank now, which is in the bank that my account is in, is the Bank of Ireland in James Street in Dublin 8. And there are no tellers in there, it's just machines. And as you said, a couple of people standing on the floor, can I help you?
Yeah,
You know,
and it's like the self-service tills in all the supermarkets, and that's the way it's gone. Now, we mentioned AI last night, and they're predicting that 800 million jobs are going to go in the next 10 years. Sorry, that's my phone going off there. Sorry, do you want to jump in there, Steve, while I answer this? Thanks.
Yeah, go on. Jump in there, Steve.
Yeah, well, I mean, like with all that's going on in relation to the banks, I'll be honest about it. I haven't been in a bank in a long time, and I did hear people saying the way that it had actually gone, and that there was only a limited amount of time where an actual human being was there. But my daughter, she's come of that age, Mick, where she's 16 and she was getting a little bit of part-time work over the Halloween period. So she was kind of required to set up a bank account. And even that whole process, there was a time, as you probably remember too, as you were of a certain age, where you went into the bank. There was always queues. There was always 10 or so tellers up there, and you went up. You done your transaction, and it was okay. You might have to queue for a little bit of time, but you went up. You spoke to another human being. If you had any questions, anything that was troubling you, in relation to your account or something that you just needed clarification on, they were more than happy to help. If they couldn't help, they would get someone else, and you could go and speak with someone in a little side room, and you kind of felt like when you came out, you'd done your transaction,
You
and
had a
you
degree of
got the help that
satisfaction
you
from it as
required.
well.
But now, when my daughter went in to set up an account, I think she had to make an appointment in order to set up the account, because if she had it within at certain times, there would be no one there. So she set up the account, and then they sent out a bank card. And the card that they sent out there was a problem with the card, and the same scenario. She went back into the bank to try and get this rectified. And the same scenario. No, you have to make an appointment, to come and visit someone. Or what you can do is you can go onto the website or download the app, and you can get help that way. And I thought, right, really, sometimes all you want is just to speak with another human being. You don't want to have to press 1 for this department and 2 for that department. It's just, but obviously that's the way it's going. And as Alan was just kind of tipping on there, the likes of supermarkets as well.
Well, it's like in the supermarket. You see those self-service the self-service checkouts. For every one of them that you see in a supermarket, that's usually a woman who hasn't got a job there anymore.
That's it. And I've said this to people, and they kind of go, but sometimes if you only have a couple of items, it's quicker. And I went, okay, it's quicker. But then the more people they get using those self-service machines, I said, you'll notice the regular checkouts, where there might have been. I'll give you an example. Our Super Value in Kells, I think there used to be about maybe seven checkouts. Now I think there are like 4 checkouts, because the other space that was occupied by the 3 that are gone, that's where they have the self-service in now. And of the other 4 people that are there, I'd say it's only a short period of time, maybe a matter of a couple of years, if even that, before they're gone, and the whole place will be self-service. You might have 1 or 2 people in there, floor workers, just walking around supervising people.
Yeah.
That'll be
where this is heading as well, though, I've seen a documentary in relation to near-field communication technology at use in supermarkets, and what the plan is with a cashless society, and as you know, they are heading towards a cashless society. What you will see in supermarkets is you'll go into a supermarket, Steve, and you will fill up your bags with whatever kind of shopping you want, and you will just walk out the door with the stuff, because the near-field communication will have the technology embedded into every single product, so everything is being micro-scanned as you walk out the door, and it's been deducted from your online account. That's how it's going.
Yep, and people might kind of think that technology is a long way off. No, it's not.
That technology is already here.
Yeah,
it already exists. I mean, take the likes of Unilever or Procter & Gamble, these big cleaning product companies. Every single one of their products have a microchip embedded in them that uses near-field communication technology. And it doesn't need a battery. The actual device, the actual chip that's in the box of washing powder, that doesn't need to be powered. It gets its power from when it's leaving the factory or the warehouse or whatever. The near-field technology is built onto the gate. So as it's going past that gate, it's getting scanned.
Steve, I have the mobile phone where I can show how your debit card, your Bank of Ireland credit cards and stuff with the Wi-Fi chip. When I touch the phone and I can read the actual card information.
Yeah.
Yeah, the NFC process, which Mick is talking about, is the same thing. It's a passive signal, and then when it goes past the transmitter,
That's when it gets activated, yeah.
and it gets recorded. And they've done it already. They're experimenting with this with a couple of supermarkets in 1 or 2 countries, where you actually walk out. You just get your shopping, and you walk out, and it actually, will charge you. So obviously, the plan of attack will be they'll have your credit card on.
It could be on file. Yeah.
And as soon as you walk out and that's summed up, your credit card has docked the money.
But we're powerless to stop this, though. I mean, when you think about it,
it's going to happen. This is a year or two down the road. That's how quick this is going to happen.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. We're powerless. I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to protest? How are we going to protest? We're going to say, well, I'm not going to shop in your shop. Well, if all shops go the same, what are you going to do? Are we going to starve?
And that's the problem.
Look, it's the multinationals that are doing it. It's not the mum and pop stores that are doing it. It's the multinationals. So we do have a choice at the moment, and the choice is we don't go to the likes of SuperValu, or we try and cut down using the likes of Tesco's and SuperValu, and go to the mum and pop stores and try and help them.
But that's a choice we have kind of out where we are, Alan. We have that choice because we live in villages, and there is a local village shop. But in the big cities, I don't think there's a lot of mom and pop stores around because
there is where I live. I mean, I live in the Crumlin area, and there are a lot of local shops owned by local people, and they've been there for generations. And I do shop in most of them.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I do go to the big supermarkets as well. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say I don't, because I do, but I do shop in local shops. It's about 50-50 between the two. Once a week I'll go to Lidl, I'll spend 50 or 60 euro, but I'll also spend 60 to 100 euros in the local shops.
And so it's gone down that road. People just need to be aware that AI is real. This whole idea of Sophia, the robot, now that's there. People look at that and go, all right, they're good, probably 10 or 20 years behind. It's going to take another 10 to 20 years to get really good robots. No, what they've done is they showed you technology which they had out years ago. That's old technology. Sophia is old technology.
It is.
They have much more advanced tech than what they're showing us.
We've said it a million times in our shows, lads. Any technology that they're showing us today, they've had it 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Exactly. Exactly. And they're well advanced. They're well advanced with the technology they have. And it's worrying that we're going down that road with AI, and they're trying all kind of things. And I said it last night in the show to Thomas that in the last few weeks, all I've seen is TV programs talking about AI and AI this and AI that and AI this, and hooking people's brains up to AI and hooking them up to the internet and everything. There's just a massive push on for AI. And one of the things I heard on another radio show was that we are soon to be categorized, human beings, as robots, but organic robots, because the principles are still the same. So where are they going with that? They're going to lump in us with a normal robot. It's just that we're going to be organic and they're going to be synthetic. Hey, I think we've heard that before, haven't we? That we have organic robots and synthetic robots. We have organic people and synthetic people. So,
I remember I was listening to a show there once, and I can't for the life of me remember who it was. And they were talking about, I think it might have been yourselves, lads, talking about synthetic people.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah, I remember. Basically, we've interviewed. We've about 4 or 5 people have come on our show, and they've all agreed that with the 7 billion population on the planet, there's only between 8 and 12% that are organic, and the rest are synthetic.
And what's their reasoning for that belief?
Because there's it's mixed. With a mixture, I mean, if you really want to open your mind and look at things that are going on, ET races. There's ET races on this planet, and they're probably living amongst us that we're not aware of. If you go back and look at, the Men in Black movies, where you see these people working in post offices and shops, and nobody knows nothing, and before you know it, they're ETs. And a lot of people like Bob Dean, who is well known in the ufology field and an expert in that side, and he did all the black projects and stuff like that. And he said, there's people living all around us. That are obviously sometimes not from this planet or a different race, because we are a minority on the planet. Some people have said that human beings are a minority on this planet because we're all mixed in with different races. We just don't know about it. We haven't been educated.
Yeah,
So
it's a strange one, all right, isn't it? But listen, lads, I need to go to a quick ad, so do you mind waiting in the wings for a few seconds? They're short ads anyway, so I shouldn't be too long. Folks, we'll be back in a couple of minutes with Alan and Steve. Talk to you very shortly.
Broadcasting to Lucan, this is Liffey Sound, 96.4 FM.
Don't miss Eddie Graham's sports session this Tuesday as he takes you through all your local sports news on Liffey Sound 96.4 FM.
The Society of St Vincent de Paul will be in Liffey Valley under the Christmas tree until Christmas Eve. All donations received enable St Vincent de Paul to assist families at Christmas and in the coming year. All donations received in this area stays in this area. Please give what you can, and thank you for making family life better this Christmas.
You're listening to Liffey Sound on 96.4 FM.
Now, folks, you're very welcome back. Just before I go back to Alan and Steve, the text number is 087-062 7138. That's 087-062 7138. If you have any text, I'm not sure if the text thing is working on that, but you can leave messages on the World You Don't Know page on Facebook, so we can have a look there if there is anything. Do you know what I must do? I must set up a Twitter page for this, and people can tweet as the show is going on. And I'm also hopefully thinking in the very near future of trying to set up some sort of a YouTube link where you can actually watch the show live being broadcast. I'll say it's something I'm going to toy around in the next few months and see where it takes us. Anyway, I'm going to go back to the lads. Good evening, lads. You're still with me, yeah?
No problem.
That's brilliant. You're still there.
So you're tweeting now, Mick, yeah?
I was thinking of it, just for I don't like Twitter, to be honest with you. I'll admit that I think it's a ridiculous little platform. Facebook is complicated enough as it is without going down that road of Twitter and Instagram and all this other bloody stuff, But no, just think that sort of modernising the communication channels if I can, I mean, you have an app. I downloaded your app onto I got a new iPhone or a new phone the other day, and I had to put all my new apps back on it. But I went looking on thing, and I said, I wonder why I haven't got an app out, and you have.
We do.
You have an app.
We do. Yeah. No, the app is there up on the site now. It hasn't been updated in a while, but you can still tune in.
Yeah, you can tune in live. It's cool. I mean, for anybody that wants to listen to a great show on a Sunday night, download the OIM app. It's free.
That's it. We put it up on the site. That's something that I put together fairly quickly, so it's not anything flash. It just does the job,
Does what it says on the tin, Alan. That's all you need, Now,
that's it.
Moving on, I wanted to bend your ear a little bit about PESCO.
Yeah.
This new European army. Now, I thought Ireland was a neutral country, and here we have Leo Varadkar and his little cohorts of Fine Gael signing us up, without a referendum, I might add, to a European Defence Force. What is ironic about it is, today, the government have announced that PE now is going to become an exam in the Leaving Cert and Junior Cert. So they're getting the young people fit now before they leave school. I wonder why.
I wonder why. Well, did you see the article I put up on Facebook, Mick, where it said I think it was 1983, the article, where 500,000 Irish people will be fighting in World War III.
I seen that article many moons ago. I actually shared it with you many moons ago, and you shared it back to me many moons ago as well, so I am very well aware of that article. 500,000 people, and I think that was signed in secret, wasn't it? I mean, it certainly wasn't put to a referendum to the people.
Yeah, it's the way things are going at the moment, especially in Ireland, the way things are with our politicians, and the way people are not waking up and not seeing what's going on, even if they do know what's going on, they're taking the NIMBY approach, not in my backyard, which is going to affect everybody, and it is affecting everybody. If you add in, I mean, this 800 million jobs that are going to go with the robot type of thing, implementing AI. I mean, do people not realise that their lives are going to be massively affected if they don't start doing something about it and getting together? And then, and the whole idea of voting, okay, at the end of the day, people say about, even if I don't vote, it's not going to make a difference. Well, 53% of the people in America last time didn't vote, and that caused ructions. So if the majority of Irish people just said, you know what, I'm not going to vote, the actual politicians be in chaos. The whole political party and the political system will be in chaos because people will just say, we're not voting for any of yous because none of yous are worth it. Now they need. I know something in the statutes, in the law, and in the constitution says that there has to be a certain amount of votes for it to be legal and for it to be to work. So I don't know what that percentage is, but I mean, Tweedledum, Tweedledee, we've had this since 1922. I mean, how many times do we have to listen to the parties and keep saying that? They say, oh yeah, we'll promise you everything. Like Pat Rabbitte, when he said, oh, you have to say that if you want to get voted in. I mean...
It's not as if they're hiding from you anymore. I mean, as you just said there, Pat Rabbitte admitting to people, if you want to get in politics, you have to promise people the sun, moon and stars, even if you have no intentions of ever delivering it.
Well, these parties will promise you everything because they haven't seen the books. And what happens is they can promise you anything because they don't know what's going on. So the party like Fianna Fáil now is not in government and they want to get back in government. So they'll promise you everything. And then they'll go in and they'll see the books and they'll go, actually, them promises we made, we can't do that because we don't have the money. We thought the money was there, but it's not there. So that's how it works.
And they get away with it time and time again. Every 4 or 5 years they get away with this.
That's why we need direct democracy, and that's why we need recall. We need to be able to sack the politicians if they're doing a crap job, because most of them do a crap job. And then obviously we need a party that lets the people have a referendum on the subject matter. I mean, it has to be better than what we have now. We're not saying direct democracy is perfect and it has its flaws, but it has to be much better than what we have now, which is a representative dictatorship from our politicians. They do not do what we want them to do. Their job is to do what we want them to do, the people of Ireland, and they do not do it. I mean, so why do people keep voting for them?
This thing with PESCO that they brought in last week, I mean, the first I heard of it was the government have announced that we're signed up to the European Defence Force. Well, hang on a minute, how come we never heard about this before? Ireland is a neutral country. I don't want to be criticised for this, but we can't be a neutral country and send troops to work in the European Defence Force. It's the same with the United Nations. I know that the excuse is, we're just doing our bit. But hang on a minute, we don't want to be getting involved in that sort of crap. As far as the Irish are concerned, there shouldn't be any conflict anywhere. Yeah, there shouldn't be a need to have all this.
Mick, the Irish Rangers have been going into countries for years. Yeah. The Irish Rangers have been well trained and they work alongside the likes of the SAS. So for us to think that Ireland is neutral and has been neutral is a kind of a bit of a fallacy, because the Rangers have been going in for years, helping out other countries and doing what they're doing because they're highly trained. They're highly respected, the Irish Rangers. So I don't think we ever were neutral, even though we were saying we are neutral. There has been missions going on and troops going in. I mean, my own brother-in-law, when he was in the army, he was sent over to Lebanon as peacekeeping. So even though it was peacekeeping, they were still going over there. And you kind of say to yourself, why are they going over there? Ireland's a neutral country. We should be only defensive only. And that's it, nothing else. And that's the whole idea of a sovereign country. A sovereign country should only be defensive, not offensive. So, and that's what's happening. We're getting involved, and that means we're going to have potential terrorism. Didn't they do some terrorist drill in Dublin there?
I was just going to bring that up. It was announced on the news the other day that a terrorist training drill involving up to, I think, 100 members of the Defence Forces was to take place somewhere in Dublin, but we're not telling you where. And they didn't. They didn't tell anybody where this alleged terrorist incident. My cousin even put a post up today. Does anybody know where this training exercise is taking place? Please comment in the comment section if you know where it is. But no one commented because no one knows where it was.
Yeah.
And there's been nothing in the media about it since either, but yet this was conducted.
And why are they doing it? Are they expecting something to happen?
I don't know. Well, I've said this before on the show. I mean, do you remember those pictures that were put out with the Israeli embassy a few years back, about 3 years ago? And there was a bit of controversy over them. It was the Israeli embassy here in Dublin who put these pictures out on their Twitter feed, on their Facebook page, I think. And it was a picture of the Mona Lisa with a rocket launcher on her shoulder saying Israel now, Paris next, and Paris got whacked. Then there was another one for Denmark, Israel now, Denmark next. But there was one for Ireland with Molly Malone with a burqa on.
Yeah.
And it was saying Israel now, Dublin next. So, and we haven't had our so-called false flag, if you want to call it that, yet.
Yeah.
And as you well know, lads,
probably in the work somewhere.
But every time there's a false flag event, there usually is a military drill in and around the event, either prior to it or during the event.
Yeah.
7/7, 9/11 being prime examples.
Yeah, exactly. And so don't be surprised. And of course, Christmas is coming as well. Now, we're not putting the mockers on it in any way, but that's how sick they are. I mean, we've said this before, Mick, we've talked about this, that these people are so sick that if there was a queue of people in a fish and chip shop, they'd throw a grenade in, kill everybody just to get out at the top of the queue. They're psychopaths. Yeah. They don't care about anybody. And people should never, ever put their own morals on these people because they don't have any.
This is the thing, isn't it? Because, you know, I've had this discussion with people where you talk about the elites being psychopaths who would do anything up to and including sacrificing children and paedophilia and all the other crap that they're not, that we know they're up to, and people say, come on Mick, you know, they couldn't really do that, you know, I mean, I couldn't do it. And I say this to people, you can't put your sense of righteousness onto these people because they don't have that, they don't have any empathy, they're psychopaths.
No, that's the whole idea. A psychopath doesn't have any empathy. So, you know, and sociopaths and psychopaths, they've no empathy. And that's what people need to understand. Steve, do you want to jump in on that?
The only thing I'll say is the thing about the Molly Malone and the burqa and also the Mona Lisa. I heard something about that before, Mick, but I hadn't actually seen it. And just while you were talking about it there, I just threw it into a search engine, and yeah, the pictures are there for all to see. I wasn't actually, as I say, I wasn't aware that there had been a burqa put on Molly Malone. So yeah, but it's interesting. Like, you know, you kind of wonder, like, is the people who are doing this, is it a message, and are these people involved in terrorism or whatever it is?
The reason I find it quite strange is, you know, we both know Jordan. We all know Jordan Maxwell. We've looked at his work over the years. And there's something that he said that I've always found quite striking about the Illuminati. You know, if you assume that they exist or whatever, the cabal. But what he was saying was the kind of crap that they perpetrate upon humanity, to them, is a form of magic. Now, whether you believe that or not is irrelevant. They do. This is what he says. And he says, in order for the magic to work, you have to put it out there prior to the event. You know, whether it's cartoons, through the media, whatever like that. In order for it to work, and it's basically them saying, well, here, we warned you we were going to do it, you didn't protest, so there you go, you've only got yourself to blame. This is their way of thinking, the psychopathic way of thinking. And that's right.
It's kind of some universal law that they have to apply that has to be consensual. And their method of getting consent is showing people what they're going to be doing.
And if there's no objection,
nobody disagrees to it, and nobody, you know, stands up against it, they go, well, you know, we told you what we're going to do. You didn't do anything about it, so
you have consented. Yeah. And I couldn't help thinking them when I seen those pictures, and then I seen Paris getting attacked, Denmark getting attacked. I think it was an airport in Denmark. There was attacks around Europe, and these posters correlated to some of these places where there was attacks. There's a poster on there, I'm sure you can see it, Steve, with Italy on it. And I don't think anything has happened in Italy yet, but maybe something will. Who knows?
Yeah, something that hasn't happened yet, but as you say, they obviously they let us know in advance, and like you say, if we don't protest, if we're not awake enough to know what's going on, then these attacks or whatever it is will just continue. It'll just continue happening, and I think we spoke about this before, and I think Hollywood is a big perpetrator as well, where Hollywood will put some stuff out in movies, and same scenario, you know.
Have you seen the latest tripe coming out of Hollywood, Geostorm? Have you seen that?
No.
It's a strange film now about the weather, you know. You know, considering the weird weather that we're getting lately, you know, this is like, it's a movie about weather control.
Yeah, I was watching the TV series Stranger Things. I don't know whether you watched that.
I have watched the 4th season and 1 or 2 episodes of the second. I'm not finished watching it yet, so I am aware of Stranger Things. It's about MK Ultra, isn't it, I think?
Well, there's elements of truth in there, which, as Thomas said, is good to watch and then kind of pick up the bits that might be of interest. He didn't go into detail as to what bits they were, but again, you know, the likes of the event. Remember the TV series, The Event? That was interesting. There was stuff in there as well, and again, they're using Hollywood and TV shows to tell us what's going on. The whole idea of the weather. Let's just quickly mention the pole shift thing, because I think this is of interest. For people who want to kind of learn more about what is planned, they can buy the book. It's called The Only Planet of Choice. It's a book I got in the late 90s, and I read it, and it was very, very interesting. And it gave so much detailed information about what's going on and what was predicted. What's happening now was in the book, and things that have happened historically. And one of the things in the book, they talk about Atlantis and how Atlantis, they destroyed themselves because they had such advanced technology, but they were like little kids playing with it. And Atlantis destroyed themselves. But the planet went over kilter by 23.5 degrees, and it went off its axis. Now, the whole idea of the pole shift is that the planet has to come back on its axis, which is happening now. The pole shift is happening now. Now, people have different opinions on it. Some people say there's going to be just swashing like the bathtub with the water, and the water levels are going to go up 700 feet, and a lot of people are going to be, drowned by it if you're living on the coast. And then there's the other side of the coin where that's been stopped. It's going to be now gradual, and the pole shift will take place, but it's going to be slower. Now, Thomas did say that he was given information saying in the last year the planet has moved 40 kilometers. So we are having a pole shift at the moment because the Inuits, indigenous tribe in Iceland or Greenland, they are saying that the sky has changed, and where they used to, find their way home using the sky, it's very hard to do now because things have changed, and maybe because this, the Chandler effect of the wobble of the Earth as well. Obviously, that has something got to do with it. But this pole shift is taking place apparently now. When we get back to it being on axis, when the Earth is back on axis, we should have tropical climates rather than these severe temperatures and severe weather patterns that we're having at the moment. But how long it's going to take, I don't know.
But can I ask you see all this like in our media, for example, and it's the same all around the world now. Like when we were growing up as kids and the weather came on after the news, right? It was the last thing that was on at 6:30. And they tell you, it's going to be a bit of rain tomorrow and the temperature will be this, that and the other, blah, blah, blah. Now it's state of shortage, yellow alert. All this crap, all these buzzwords they're using with the weather now. Personally, I don't think the weather's any different than it was when I was growing up. It's, it's sometimes it's a bit severe, like Storm Ophelia. I wasn't expecting that at that time of year, but...
Well, Ophelia was something that never happened before because that was a warm hurricane that came into cold climate. And that hasn't happened, so that kind of tells you something in itself that we are experiencing weather patterns that
and do you
haven't
think that could have
before.
something to do with a pole shift with the planet, like literally tilting back onto its original axis?
I do think that definitely the planetary weather has changed. I kind of do keep an eye on that because that's something that you can see with your own eyes. And with the fact that you have these massive hurricanes, tropical hurricanes happening, and the rising of the seawaters, the rising of the seawaters especially, that's happened quite a lot, and that could be down to the tectonic plate movements as well, which a lot of people are talking about. And just weather patterns that people are getting. I mean, Saudi Arabia, a couple of years ago, they had snow. When did you ever hear of snow in Saudi Arabia?
I mean, that is a strange one, all right. I mean, that is strange.
So things like that's basically, what's going on. So when you can see the weather patterns happening, people having flooding that has never flooded before. In any records that they have, it's never flooded. They're having flooding. Why are they flooding? Why is it happening?
Yeah. So
we are getting weather patterns that have not been on record that are happening, and you can see them visually. And there's dormant volcanoes which have never really erupted. All of a sudden, they're coming back to life.
So there is serious planetary changes taking place. So.
Definitely, yeah.
Listen, one more set of ads, lads, and I'll be back in less than 2 minutes. So, and I've something a little bit weird and out there that I want to talk about that's happening right now over in America. So I'll talk to you in a couple of minutes, folks, with Alan and Steve. Talk to you very shortly.
Okay.
You're listening to Liffey Sound, www.liffeysoundfm.ie. Listen online. Community radio at its best.
Tune in every Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. for Ultrasounds on Liffey Sound 96.4 FM or www.liffeysoundfm.ie.
Have you taken our advice and explored the many attractions in our lovely Liffey Valley? There's so much to enjoy in the Liffey Valley. Lovely parks, riverside walks, historic houses, water sports, children's play areas and much, much more. The Liffey Valley Park Alliance continues its work for the preservation of this marvellous amenity and its picturesque landscapes. You can play your part by using its various facilities. If you have not already done so, start now. You won't regret it.
Danger, danger! If sore necks, ringing in your ears and mosh pits are your thing, check out High Voltage with me, Dave Darcy, for all things rock, metal and punk. Every Monday evening from 7 to 9 on Liffey Sound 96.4 FM.
Danger, danger! High voltage! We will tell us, and we will give.
Local programs, local presenters, local news. Tune to Liffey Sound 96.4 FM.
Now, folks, you're very welcome back. Alan and Steve, you're still there, yeah?
Yeah.
That's great. Just before I get into the next subject that I want to talk about, I just want to put it out there, folks. As I've mentioned before on the show, Alan and myself as well are both involved in our local men's sheds. And I am a volunteer for the IMSA, a full-time volunteer, and I have about 11 or 12 men's sheds on the south side of Dublin that I look after. And I went to visit a new men's shed today in Templeogue FC football club in Templeogue in Dublin 6 West. It's a brand new men's shed, and I'm just putting a shout out there for them that if there's anyone out there who'd like to donate tools to the men's shed, you can contact me through the World You Don't Know Facebook page, and let me know what you have and I'll put you in touch with them. As I said, they're a brand new men's shed. They've just started up, so they're looking for donations of tools and stuff like that. So if anybody out there has anything that they would like to donate, just before I finish on that, if you are donating anything and it's a power tool, without sounding too picky or choosy, it has to be CE certified for insurance purposes. They wouldn't be allowed to use it otherwise. So if you have anything you want to donate and it is CE certified, it would be greatly much appreciated by the Templeogue Community Men's Shed in Templeogue FC Dublin 6. Now, lads, just before I continue, should I say, I'm finished with that little subject now. As I said, it's about the men's sheds, Al. You're a good proponent of the men's sheds in your own area.
Well, Steve has been involved as well.
Oh, so, has he? Sorry, Steve, yeah. I didn't realise. So Steve's a shedder as well.
I've been involved too, Mick, but in a kind of a lesser capacity than Alan. I've been down a couple of times, but not when the kind of the main like it's usually on a Thursday, air one. But I have been down on a couple of Saturdays where myself and Alan have done a little bit of DIY and put some stuff together and taken it apart and put it back together again. Right. But come here, I just want to mention, I think it's important for people who don't know what CE approved or CE certified is, and might be kind of going, I've an L drill there, but I don't know. It'll be on the label. Yeah. If you have a label, it'll tell you the power output, and it'll just be a mark there which says the letter C and the letter E, just in case anyone is confused. It's
just for insurance purposes, because if you have a tool that's not CE certified and you're trying to get insurance on it, they won't cover it basically if it's not CE certified. So they're looking for anything from bandsaws up to lathes and any power tools that anybody would like to donate. And that goes for any men's sheds anywhere out there. If anybody wants to donate tools to a men's shed, any men's shed will greatly appreciate those tools, because they do great work in communities all across the land, around the world. Actually, there's 30,000 men's sheds around the world, 30,000 plus actually. It's a big movement and it's growing. So if you've any tools you want to donate to any men's sheds, cool about it, give them your tools. Now, lads, there's a strange phenomenon taking place in America that I've been keeping my eye on over the last few days, and it's these so-called forest fires that are sweeping through neighbourhoods in California. And some people have been putting up videos and pictures on Facebook and on social media claiming that these are not normal forest fires, that directed energy weapons are being used, because they're showing pictures and videos of complete housing blocks, like blocks of houses, streets full of houses, completely burnt to cinders, and yet there's trees in the driveways of these houses completely untouched. Strange one.
That's the general consensus there. People feel that they're using energy weapons. Now, we did kind of talk about this on the show last night. I don't know whether, Steve, do you want to talk about this?
I'll just say in relation to the likes of the forest fires, the limited information that I've seen, Mick, which is very small. It's not something that's I'm kind of following at the moment, but some of the information that has come up and the likes of pictures and videos, they're saying that the likes of when the trees are burning, some of the trees are burning, and it says they're burning from the inside, like they're not burning from the outside in, they're actually burning from the inside out.
Now that sounds like a microwave. Isn't that how a microwave cooks your food?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's it. Now, Mick, just to add to what Steve said there, think about what Agenda 21 is. Agenda 21 is about getting people from the rural areas and bringing them into the cities. Because if you're going to do anything like a major, let's say, biochemical warfare on the people, the best place to do it is to have all the people rounded up in the cities, so it's going to be easier to hit them. So Agenda 21 is alive and well. We mentioned it last night again, that even if you go on the County Meath website and type in Agenda 21, it's actually on there. And we know that myself and Steve, who live out in the country, they're trying to shut down the rural post offices, and more kind of services are shutting down, or you have to go in the city to get them. And the idea is to get people to leave the country, get into the city, and if they do want to do any biochemical spraying or testing or experimenting on the population, or reduce the population in some way by some germ or disease, or they can do it. It's easier to do it in
the big city, yeah. And funny you should mention depopulation. I was reading an article today on Facebook. I'm not saying Facebook is the be all and end all of news either, but it was an article that was in the mainstream media as well. John Cleese has come out now and saying the world is grossly overpopulated. And I can't help thinking, when these people come out with these statements, fair enough, if you think it's overpopulated, let's start with your family.
That's what I do. When I hear somebody saying that about, it's overpopulated, say, go ahead. Lead by example. Go ahead, take yourself out and take your family out. Oh, no, they'll say, no. It's not, it's not my problem. It's your problem, So, I don't have time for people like that. John Cleese, I mean, where's he coming from with that statement? I mean, we're told there's 7 billion people on the planet. Is there really?
I mean, for all we know, there could be 10 times that amount. We don't know.
There could be 10 times, or there could be 3 billion. Or there could be 100 million. We don't know. There's no man with a clipboard going around counting everybody. So we can only estimate or guesstimate exactly how many people are on the planet. And that's their excuse. Oh, it's overpopulation. We're going to have to reduce, have some culling and reduce the people. Well, it's never the elites to do it. It's always the people at the end of the food chain that seem to get it.
I mean, I had a debate the other day with a guy in work, and we were talking about gravity. I don't know even how the subject come up. We weren't talking about conspiracy theories or nothing like that. There's something come up about gravity, and I just piped in, so how do you know gravity exists? And we got into a big debate then with physics and whatnot, And my argument to the guy was, listen, everything you were saying to me, I said, you've either read in a book, you've learned in school, or you've seen on TV, or heard on the radio. You've got your information from other sources. I said, have you poured over the data yourself? Have you run experiments yourself? No. I said, everything you were telling me, I said, is done on pure blind faith and blind faith alone in other people's information and opinions. And that's exactly what it is. You know,
it is, and it's funny you should say that, mate, because my son told me today they were talking about time travel with one of the teachers who's a physics teacher, and of course one of the questions was, do you believe time travel exists? And of course the correct answer was no. And I was saying to my son, well, obviously, she's never heard of the likes of the Philadelphia experiment and what Einstein was doing, and the unified source field and quantum entanglement. And he was going, I know, Dad, but I can't say that to her because, they'd laugh at me.
They would as well.
There you go. So, I'm trying to keep my son open-minded by talking about these subjects. And but the physics teacher, no, it's in the curriculum. It says there's no such thing as time travel, and it's impossible. Forget about wormholes and, as I say, quantum entanglement and all that. It's just impossible.
But listen, if it takes you an hour and a half to get from your house to Dublin, that's time travel.
Well,
you travel through time.
I wouldn't go to Dublin.
But it's still time travel. Now, I mean, I don't know if time travel exists or not. I'm not that far into quantum physics or know enough about it to say yes or nay. But I don't think it's right for any teacher to turn around and say to a child, it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
and as a physics teacher, they should know better, I believe. They should be more open-minded to the possibility, anyway, at least.
That's the whole idea. They should be at least open-minded rather than turn around and say no. How do they know?
I see, isn't that the thing about school? I remember watching a great video on TED Talks with a guy called Sir Ken Robinson, and he was talking about the fact that schools the world over exist for one purpose, and that is to stifle creativity. That's what they're designed to do. And if you look closely enough, that's exactly what they do.
Yeah, it teaches them what to think instead of how to think.
Yeah. I mean, that's all school was for me. We were told how to think. And that's why I didn't excel in school, because I wasn't prepared to accept their opinions, not without questioning them at the very least.
Yeah, yeah. And if they said, look, this is what you're told, but tomorrow it could be different, like, we talk about the fluid belief system, keep an open mind, but they don't. And, it's just a shame, because it really shuts down kids' imagination and creativity by just closing the door and saying, no, you can't do that. It's just it's sad, Steve. I think I know you have 5 kids, Mick, and Steve has kids, and I'm sure the 3 of us have experienced this with the schools. How they
I had it years ago. I was called into my son's school years ago. I used to have quite a lot of challenges with some of the teachers, especially if you were calling me in for trivial little things that I would consider trivial. Now I wouldn't go in acting all smart and stuff like that. I'd go in and try and have a reasonable, rational conversation with them. But I got called in one day. My little lad was about 5. And I was called into school, and the teacher's exact words were, "I can't teach your son, he doesn't listen to me." I said, "Come here, I'm going to tell you something." I said, "Listen very closely." I says, "Your function," I said, "as a teacher is to get what's in your head into my child's head. If you're not able to do that, well then you shouldn't be teaching." And she looked at me, "What do you mean?" I said, "What I said I meant." I said, "If you can't get what's in your head into a child's head, you shouldn't be teaching. I've got other children to be teaching here." I said, "Well, if you can't get the information into their heads in a reasonable fashion," I says, "without complaining to me that my child is not listening, make it more entertaining for the child than they might listen."
Yeah. Well, see, you can't do that, Mick, because
it's not part of the curriculum. Exactly, yeah. This is the problem.
Now, they are changing it. But then they're now realising that kids, we all learn differently.
Yeah.
Some people like writing, some people like reading, some people like visuals. We all learn differently, and the schools are beginning to get it, but it's an uphill struggle.
Yeah, I mean, when we were growing up in school, it was, shut up, listen to what we're telling you, this is the way things are. If you don't like it, stay at the back of the class and stay quiet so as everybody else can absorb this information. You know, and that's basically what my educational experience was like. It wasn't all bad, don't get me wrong. I remember I had a teacher called Mr. Ryan. Very, very nice man. And he's the only one that I can remember, even as a 12-year-old, who took a personal interest in you learning something. Like, he would come down when you were... If he was showing you something on the board and you were saying, "Oh, I don't get it," he'd come down and sit beside you and he'd break it down slowly. I'd say, this, and this. "Oh, now I get it. There you go, next pupil." That's how a teacher should be. He was a good teacher.
That's a good teacher.
You know, but they were few and far between, unfortunately. You know, that was the thing.
Yeah, no, totally. It's and it's a sad indictment of the education system, but it's up to us as parents to make sure that we keep our kids open-minded. That's the important thing.
Well, that's our role, isn't it? Is to keep our children open-minded without brainwashing them, I suppose, and make them sound ridiculous to other people.
Just challenge. Get them to challenge what they're being told. You know, when they're told something, you could just turn around and go, "Do you think that's right? You know, is there another story to that could be, an alternative to what you've been told?" Just to keep them open-minded. Don't give them the information. Just get them to open their mind to challenge what they're being told.
Yeah. But, unfortunately, hopefully, anyway, as you just said there, schools are starting to change, and, hopefully our children probably, I don't think it's going to happen, but hopefully our children will grow up smarter than we are. I mean, you look around the amount of kids now stuck into their mobile phones. Fair enough, they might be good on the mobile phone, but, when you try and, talk to them about, serious matters and challenge them about serious things, they haven't got a clue. Even the grammar today, you look at the grammar on Facebook between children, teenagers especially, it's absolutely diabolical.
Oh yeah, totally. Well,
it's all the text speak now, isn't it?
It's all broken down speech now. Kids are using a lot of phonetics now. The younger generation, when they're sending you messages, like it's if someone is spelling the word, say tuck, we'd spell it T-O-O-K. What's T-U-K?
Yeah, it's all text. I mean, that's it's going down that road, and maybe that's the way you want it. They want to.
I think it's part of the dumbing down process. Yeah.
Well, we know the IQ level of kids over 100 years have gone down anyway, and that's down to a number of things: chemicals, fluorides, and everything else that's in there, in the water and in the food. So it's a dumbing down process for the masses.
But if you look at children, like even 200 years ago, who weren't going to school, they were more successful as adults than children today who do go to school.
Yeah. Totally, yeah.
Because they were learning how to be a farmer, they were learning how to be a carpenter or a plumber or, a house builder, whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, if we ever have an issue where we need to use our hands, the millennials of today would be lost completely, because all them skills are really lost. I mean, myself, our generation, Mick, is not too bad, myself, you and Steve, because we know we can use certain tools and do certain things with our hands. But for our kids... No, them skills are going to be lost.
And they are getting lost as well. I mean, even in the men's sheds, one thing I've noticed in the men's sheds is the age demographic of the sheds. It's very hard to get young people to come into the sheds.
Yeah.
To get them interested in that kind of stuff, like carpentry and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get them in.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and but all we can do is just promote it. And as I say, does it time? I know I'm just looking at the clock there as well, Mick. But there's a time where you have to draw the line and go, look, we've done enough. We've done as much as we can. We've woken up as many people as we can. We can't do any more. And if people wake up and they'll get the shock factor when all this information gets pushed into their brain, and they just probably won't be able to deal with it, because we've been dealing with it over the last 10, 20 years. So it's kind of a very slow drip feed for us. Yeah. But for people who just get this information overload, they won't be able to take it.
Yeah, and when we're gone, so hopefully the younger people will start taking up where we leave off and try and make this world a better place. Listen, lads, I have come up to the last couple of minutes, so I'm going to end the show there because I want to have a little bit of a chat with the listeners before I do go. Thanks very much, lads, for coming on, Alan and Steve. I really appreciate you.
No problem. Steve, if you want to give out the website.
Yes, Steve, give out your website details.
Yeah. Yeah, just very quickly. Thanks for having us on, Mick. It's always a pleasure and a privilege. Our show, we go out live on the internet, oymradio.com, 7 to 9 p.m. GMT each and every Sunday. Podcasts are always available on the website. If you want to find us, you can't just if you didn't get the website, you just Google or look up for Open Your Mind, and you will see us there.
And that's
cheers, Mick.
That's it. Cheers, lads, and listen, have an absolutely fantastic Christmas to you, both yourselves and your families.
Cheers, Mick.
Hopefully I'll talk to you in the new year.
You too, Mick. And take care. Bye-bye.
Talk to you very soon. Thanks very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that was Alan and Steve from Open Your Mind Radio. Always great to have them two lads on. They're absolutely great crack, and they're a wealth of knowledge. And as I said, if you read the Facebook post earlier on that I put up for the show, their show goes out every Sunday night from 7 to 9 p.m. oymradio.com. And as I said on the post, they have a wide variety of guests discussing some of the most diverse subjects you can come up with. Everything from UFOs to chemtrails to 9/11 and everything in between. So you're always guaranteed a great show with Alan and Steve and the guests that they have on. And as another bonus, unlike this show, this is a 2-hour show, so you're getting twice the listening pleasure as you're going to get on this show. So always well worth the listen. Anyway, it has come up to the end of the show. I've got about a minute left, and just before I do go, I just want to give one more mention as well to the Temple Oak community men's shed that has opened up in Temple Oak. It's in the grounds of Temple Oak Football Club. If you want to go and pay a visit, they're open 5 days a week from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. I think. And as I said, it's a brand new men's shed, and they're looking for any donations of tools, power tools that would be CE certified, and hand tools as well, like screwdrivers and saws and hammers and stuff like that. As I said, they've just got a new shed and they'd like to stock it out with stuff. So if you have anything you'd like to donate to that men's shed, please do. It's a worthy cause. They're a great idea, the men's sheds. So donate away if you have anything that you'd like to give away. Anyway, I have come up to the end of the show. I'm hoping to do a double podcast over the Christmas and New Year. I'm hoping to get a guest on. I won't mention his name yet, just in case I don't get him on. But what will be happening is Christmas is on a Monday, and so is New Year's Day on a Monday. So I'm going to be doing a couple of pre-record shows. Hoping to get the one guest on to do a 2-hour interview and split it up into 2. So the podcast will go up immediately just before Christmas. But if you're going to be listening on live radio on FM, it'll be a pre-record. But it'll be over 2 nights. It'll be over the Christmas night and New Year's night. So if you want to listen to that, you can, and that should be on then. Anyway, I have come to the end of the show, folks, and remember, as I like to say in the show, the world is full of wonderful people, and if you can't find one, be one. Talk to us all very soon.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
Breaking humanity, one soul at a time. This is the World You Don't Know radio show with your host, Nick O'Connell.